Today we're talking about angiosperms, the most diverse and widespread plant group on our planet. If you've ever stopped to admire a flower, eaten a fruit, or simply enjoyed the shade of a leafy tree, you've encountered angiosperms. Let's dive into what makes these plants so special. Angiosperms are flowering plants that produce seeds enclosed within fruits. The word angiosperm comes from Greek, meaning enclosed seeds. With around 350,000 to 400,000 species, they're the largest plant group in the world, found on every continent. Yes, even Antarctica. They dominate almost every ecosystem except for temperate coniferous forests in the Pacific Northwest and northern Eurasia. Charles Darwin called the rapid diversification of angiosperms an abominable mystery and a most perplexing phenomenon. Scientists are still working to understand exactly how they evolved and diversified so quickly. The evolutionary mechanisms that led to such an impressive array of species remain somewhat unclear, but what we do know is fascinating. Before angiosperms took over, gymnosperms, like conifers, were the dominant plants for over 200 million years. These plants evolved during the Devonian period more than 300 million years ago. But around 145 million years ago, during the early Cretaceous period, something remarkable happened. Flowering plants appeared in the fossil record. Paleobotanists who study fossilized plants have found that within just 45 million years, angiosperms had become incredibly diverse. Pollen analysis from ancient lake beds indicates they were already tremendously varied 100 million years ago. This rapid diversification and takeover is believed to be possible because angiosperms have more efficient photosynthesis thanks to their complex leaf venation patterns. They also generally have smaller genomes than other plants, which allows for smaller cells and a higher rate of carbon uptake. These advantages help them outcompete their neighbors and spread from tropical regions to both poles. What sets angiosperms apart from other plants like gymnosperms? While both are seed plants, meaning they reproduce through seeds rather than spores like ferns and mosses, there are key differences. The most significant distinction is that angiosperms produce flowers and fruits with seeds enclosed within ovaries. Gymnosperms, like pine trees, produce naked seeds typically borne in cones. Both can produce secondary growth, what we commonly call wood, but their reproductive strategies differ dramatically. Angiosperms also have unique leaf structures with complex venation patterns and incredible variety in shapes and arrangements. Their leaves can be arranged alternately with one leaf emerging at each node, oppositely with two leaves at each node, or in whorls with more than two leaves at each node. Leaves can be simple with just one blade connected to the petiole, or compound with multiple leaflets. The diversity of leaf shapes is remarkable, from palmate leaves that resemble hands with multiple lobes to pinnate leaves with a single leaf tip. It's honestly hard to overstate just how important angiosperms are to life on Earth. They're, well, essential for our very survival. Almost everything we eat, in one way or another, comes from flowering plants. For example, the grass family Poaceae gives us corn, rice, wheat, and all other cereal grains. The legume family Fabaceae provides us with beans, peas, and soy. The nightshade family Solanaceae gives us potatoes, tomatoes, and chili peppers. And the rose family Rosaceae provides apples, pears, cherries, and strawberries. Beyond what we eat directly, the animals we rely on for food are often fed with angiosperms too. Flowering plants are also, honestly, indispensable to the pharmaceutical industry. They contain all sorts of diverse secondary compounds that, while they don't contribute to plant growth, are vital for defending against herbivores and pathogens. Many plants have evolved these incredibly complex chemicals, and some of them have extraordinary medicinal properties. For instance, morphine comes from the poppy plant, many alkaloids come from nightshade, and the active compounds in aspirin were originally discovered in willow tree leaves. Many of the materials we use every day actually come from angiosperms. Cotton textiles, for example, come from Gossypium species, linen from flax plants, and hemp from Cannabis sativa. Angiosperms also produce hardwood lumber and bamboo, which are used for building materials, and they give us biofuels too, ranging from simple wood that can be burned for heat to more advanced corn-based ethanol. Perhaps most crucially, angiosperms are champions at carbon sequestration. Through photosynthesis, they absorb carbon dioxide and convert it into plant material, effectively removing it from the atmosphere. The Amazon rainforest alone, dominated by angiosperms, absorbs around 600 million tons of carbon annually, helping mitigate climate change. Like other vascular plants, angiosperms have specialized tissues for transporting water and nutrients. Xylem carries water and minerals while providing structural elements like wood. Phloem transports carbohydrates and sugars throughout the plant. This vascular system gives angiosperms advantages over non-vascular plants like mosses, which are smaller and more susceptible to drying out. The roots of angiosperms serve multiple functions. They anchor the plant, absorb water and nutrients, store energy reserves, and sometimes enable vegetative reproduction. Root depth varies dramatically by species and habitat. While Arctic tundra plants rarely have roots deeper than 1 meter, the African flowering plant Boscia albitrunca has been recorded with roots reaching an astonishing 68 meters deep. Some roots form beneficial relationships with mycorrhizal fungi and rhizobium bacteria that help them acquire phosphorus and nitrogen more efficiently. Stems provide structural support and house vascular tissue. They vary enormously in size and function, from the soft green stem of a basil plant to the massive trunk of an ancient oak. Stems can be photosynthetic, especially in herbaceous plants, and often feature defensive structures like thorns. Woody stems produce bark as a protective coating against environmental threats like fire and cold. The leaves of angiosperms show incredible diversity while performing the crucial functions of photosynthesis and gas exchange. They contain most of the plant's chlorophyll, giving them their distinctive green color, and feature stomata-specialized pores that control gas exchange. Not all leaves are flat and broad, though. In succulent plants, leaves are often thick and tough to store water, enabling survival in arid conditions. Beyond these basic organs, angiosperms have evolved specialized structures like spines, which are modified leaves or stipules seen in cacti. Thorns are stem modifications found on citrus trees, while spikes are extensions of the epidermis like those on rose bushes. Climbing plants have tendrils that help them cling to structures and reach more light. Some carnivorous plants have leaves modified into complex traps, like the hinged leaves of Venus flytraps or the vase-like structures of pitcher plants. What truly sets angiosperms apart and contributed to their evolutionary success is their reproduction method involving flowers and fruits. Flowers are these specialized reproductive structures that can be solitary or grouped together in inflorescences. They actually consist of 4 main parts. The sepals, which are collectively called the calyx, are usually green structures that protect the flower bud. The petals, often colorful to attract pollinators, make up the corolla. Together, the calyx and corolla form what we call the perianth. The stamens are the male reproductive organs, consisting of filaments with anthers at the tips that produce pollen. And finally, the pistil is the female organ, containing 1 or more carpels with a stigma, style, and ovary. For fertilization to occur, pollen must reach the stigma, often with help from pollinators like insects, birds, or even mammals. These animals are usually rewarded with nectar and, in the process, they inadvertently carry pollen between flowers, facilitating cross-pollination that maintains genetic diversity. Once a pollen grain lands on a compatible stigma, it forms a pollen tube through which 2 sperm cells travel to the ovary. Angiosperms use a unique process called double fertilization. One sperm cell fertilizes the egg to form a zygote that becomes the embryo. The other sperm cell joins with 2 polar nuclei to form the endosperm, which nourishes the developing embryo. So, together, the embryo and endosperm make up the seed. After fertilization, the flower transforms into a fruit containing seeds. A fruit consists of one or more ripened ovaries along with additional modified parts. The seed is surrounded by the pericarp, which includes the endocarp, mesocarp, and exocarp. The mesocarp is typically the part of the fruit we eat. Fruits have evolved countless ways to disperse their seeds. Fleshy fruits like berries and drupes are often eaten by animals that deposit the seeds elsewhere. Dry fruits like dandelion seeds and maple samaras are carried by wind. Some fruits have barbs that cling to passing animals, while others float on water or even explode to scatter their seeds. Angiosperms are incredibly diverse but can be divided into a few major groups. The basal angiosperms are the oldest flowering plants. Among them, amborellales are evolutionarily the most ancient, with Amborella trichopoda being the only surviving species. So, this small evergreen shrub found only in New Caledonia provides valuable insights into early angiosperm evolution. Another basal group includes water lilies. Magnolids are the next oldest group, including economically important families like Piperaceae, which gives us black pepper, Lauraceae, which provides avocados and cinnamon, and Magnoliaceae, which includes magnolias and tulip trees. Monocotyledons or monocots are distinguished by having just one cotyledon or seed leaf. They typically have parallel leaf venation and stems with scattered vascular bundles rather than organized rings. This group includes the extremely diverse orchid family, the economically crucial grass family with corn, rice and wheat, as well as palms, lilies and bromeliads. Eudicos form the largest group, containing about 75% of all angiosperm species. Like basal angiosperms, they have two cotyledons. This diverse group includes the most species-rich plant family, Asteraceae, with daisies and sunflowers, as well as familiar plants from the rose family, oak family, citrus family, legume family, and nightshade family. From the food on your plate to the oxygen you breathe, angiosperms make life as we know it possible. Their evolutionary innovations, especially flowers and fruits, allowed them to spread across the globe and become the dominant plant group in just a geological blink of an eye. The abominable mystery of their rapid diversification may not be completely solved, but one thing's for sure, life on Earth would be unrecognizable without angiosperms. Next time you stop to admire a flower or bite into a juicy fruit, take a moment to appreciate these remarkable plants that transformed our planet. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about flowering plants, hit that like button and visit us at Earth.com, where we bring Earth science to life. Thank you for joining us.